be true. Do, 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 do. In other words. Welcome to Culture Hour Live, part 2. And very good evening, and thanks for coming in. I did this on Facebook just before, and I'm kind of thinking that Instagram would be much more jumping joy. So, what I want to do this evening, and cheers everybody, welcome to Friday and your weekend. Thanks, Gina Barrett. Cheers to you. I'm going to talk about the Gibson Martini. This came up as a discussion during the week on the Facebook page. And so I thought I'd give it all 15-minute impromptu insight into what is the Gibson Martini. Well, good evening, neighbour, to you. Cheers to you. I hope you got something agreeable at glass. You deserved it, I'm better about now. Cheers to you. And prices for guessing the gin, folks, if you can. All right, and apologise in advance for any puppy background noises. You know the deal. It's COVID, we've got a puppy. I want to talk about the Gibson Martini. It's one of those ones where some of you may not have even heard of it, perhaps, and that's no shame. But it's one of the old school recipes and version of the martini that's worth knowing. And especially like savoury flavours. So if you're a dirty martini kind of person, this is one you probably want to pay attention to. So I'm going to tell you a couple of quick stories. 2 books. There's actually on my YouTube channel, shameless plug, a clip about some gin and martini books I really recommend to you. This is one, came out late last year by Robert Simonson. He writes for the New York Times. Lovely fellow, great Instagram feed. And he did a terrific book about the martini, and there's an app to go with. And, oh, thank you. Hope you like my jacket, some of it. And so he goes great, really nice insights. I mean, it's a terrific book. And the other one is, but I've had this forever, called the Martini, Barnaby Conrad III. Now, I've had this for like 20 years or something. Like I found it in an op shop, had to have. And serendipity was when this book came out, I started following Robert on Instagram. And we're talking about April now, so way back in the dark days, around here, anyway, locally. And they did a live, like a Zoomy kind of thing, where it was a martini get-together of all these martini Uber experts, including these 2 gentlemen. And I had kind of, sorry to say, kind of figured Mr. Terry Conrad III had not longer with us. But he was alive and well. He was there along with Robert. And so I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and paid my money and joined in and asked some questions. We had a great chat. And, because, you know, I should get out more, having a live. Anyway, recommended. So anyway, this is what they have to say about the Gibson Martini. So this is Robert Simonson's take on it. Let me find the page again. We just lost it again. Where are you? Oh, there you go. Okay. So the Gibson Martini, way back when, was 1930s we're talking about. So there was a version of the Gibson Martini which essentially had dried gin and vermouth but nothing else, which is pretty crazy. No garnish, nothing. But by the 1930s, he argues that these are all bad boys, which is what it's all about. G'day, Kilmer, thanks for tuning in. The white pickled onions, pearl onions, are what it's all about. And so they started appearing in the late 30s, 40s. But he quite couldn't pin it down. So that's one version. Barnaby Conrad III goes into a bit more detail about, let's see, I'll pull this page up again. I had bookmarked this before. There it is. Come back. I just did it on Facebook, so I was doing it on Instagram again. And of course, I can't find it now. So what he was saying was, oh, here we go. Okay, so one is three different stories. So one is we're talking Prohibition, 1920s in America, but the American ambassador to London, I said to Mr. Gibson, Esquire, couldn't feel he could legitimately drink a Gibson, a proper martini, whilst on American soil entertaining his guests. So what he did was he simply walked around, obviously his guests can have as many cocktails as they want, being a perfect host. So what he simply does is walk around with a glass of water with some onions in it, and that was his drink, so water, onion, bit of flavour. And they said, what are you drinking? He says, well, Gibson, so that's named after me. So that was one version. The other version was, there was a couple of twin sisters, and this came out of a restaurant called the Occidental Grill, which I think is still there in San Francisco. I walked past it, I hope it's still open. And you notice that unlike other garnishes, like as a purist, olives should always be a single or a triple, never a double, right? That's just the rules, right? Always an odd number for luck. Except for the bad boy, the Martini family, the Gibson. So a pair. Why a pair? So this is one theory. So this gentleman who's a bartender, was a bartender, we're talking 20 years ago, he was writing. There were, in the 20s in Chicago, twin sisters from the Gibson family who loved martinis but they hated olives. So they asked their bartenders to always switch out their olives for pickled onions. And these were like a little snack on the bar, on doers and things like that, so they would have been readily available. And so they simply swished, everywhere they went, they simply swished them out and named after themselves. A pair of Gibsons and whatever. As I digress, a few years ago I went to the very, very famous Inglewood Inn, the Melbourne's restaurant at Inglewood Inn in Palm Springs, California. And if you've ever seen an episode of Mad Men, that's how it felt like. The staff had been there for 50 years. I'm not kidding, really. The bartender was there for 30 years, the bar hops were there for 40 years. Oh, great, amazing. The menu hadn't changed, camembert, deep fried, and a whole box of dice. Everyone drank martinis, everyone drank Gibsons. I mean, everybody. And there was two twin sisters, I'm not making this up, I'm just thinking this now. Two twin sisters who were on the next table over, everyone drank martinis, and we all got best time. And so everyone just drank cocktails all night. And they were twin sisters, and they made apple cider or something from Idaho or something like that, and they were drinking Gibsons, of course, in their 90s. God bless them. So I cried when I left. I was such a happy place. So a few different versions, in short, of what a Gibson Martini is. So what you're after in a Gibson Martini is basically something very, very savoury. Not as salty and briny as you get with a dirty Martini. It's actually, at its best, a lot more subtle than that. So, cheers. As Roger Sterling would say, that's where you've been. So how do you do it? Let's talk about the ingredients first. Most welcome. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about the Gibson Martini. It's kind of lore and legend how to make it. So I'll talk for another 10 minutes or so, not take up too much of your time. So you've got, think about vermouth and gin. You can do a vodka, of course, there's no problem with that. And if you watch Mad Men, come back to Mad Men for a minute. Cheers, Willow. If you're watching Mad Men, go back to watch episodes of Mad Men. Roger Sterling, the grey partner guy. What's he drinking? He's drinking Gibsons. Smirnoff vodka Gibsons, but you know, that's okay. Anyway, switching around. Okay, so what do you need? So good dry vermouth. And I like, for this one, French vermouth, I like the spiciness. I don't want the sweetness. Excuse me. So not Dolon in this case. I'm going to recommend you go for Dolon. It's a bit decanted, but sorry, try that again. Not Dolon, but Noddy Prat. So Noddy Prat, classic French vermouth, easy to get, not super expensive. I like the spiciness because what you're going to want is a good base note and complexity to cut through some of this cocktail goodness that's coming your way. You want a good solid London dry style gin. So you could go Beefeater. In fact, I recommend Beefeater. You could go tongue firmly in cheek, Gibson. Not Gibson, Gordon Martini, Gordon's gin, I should say. But we're not going to do that either. So yeah, so think old school, big, dare I say it, ballsy juniper forward gin. If you're Australians, you might not think about Juniper Freak from Never Never. I'm digging this at the moment. It's from Georgia, just inside the country from Bowral, about half an hour's drive. Worth a visit if you're in the neck of the woods. Make great whiskey, and it's all pat at the plate, so to speak. Own water, own grain, ordered on the spot. But a really nice, punchy, spicy gin. Perfect for this kind of business. So yeah, so don't go new style, new contemporary kind of stuff. Go for a nice, good, spicy London style gin. If you're just joining us, Modern Object and friends, cheers to you. Happy Friday, you've made it to the new normal, whatever that happens to be. I'm just rabbiting on about the Gibson Martini, so I might recap some of these things in case you missed it, so stick around for a few minutes. Anyway, so where were we? So yes, good solid dry vermouth like a Noddy Prat, good solid London dry spicy gin like a Beefeater or triple juniper or Georgia or whatever. Don't go your new Western style, don't go your Four Pillars, none of this stuff. They're great gins, but not for this business. You're fit for purpose. And then you get back to the main game. This is one of those cocktails where actually the garnish is the deal, right? The garnish is the deal. Unlike other things that I've rabbited on about martinis where the garnish is the understudy, like lemon peel should be subtle, olives should be subtle. They're there to, you know, accentuate the cocktail, add a dimension, but not there to save a drink. With the Gibson, it's the other way around. So we're talking about a drink that's originated in the 30s and 40s and it's stuck around ever since, but always on the fringes of martini culture. Now, fun fact, in Australia, good luck ordering one of these in Australian bars. I've been to a lot of bars, and maybe in all those decades, maybe two would even have cocktail onions on hand, let alone know what a Gibson was. That's no disrespect to them, that's just because it's not known. America, no problem. Quality variable, but it's always on the table, right? Okay, so how do you make them? So first thing you're going to do is you go to your local supermarket and you're going to buy a little jar. It's down there with your cherries, your maraschino kind of numbers, and all that kind of rigmarole. In my humble opinion, this is the only opinion this is good for. So we've gone for the days of Japs with cheese and one of these on top, right? And a skewer. No. Gibson Martini. So what you're going to do though, when you get home, is turn out the brine because it's really sweet, it's saccharine, and that's what you want in a cocktail, clearly. So you create your own brine. It's not very glamorous jar. Sorry, my glass one broke. So more practical plastic. What do you do? So you pour out your brine. You give them a quick rinse of water to get all that stuff off them, and then you make your own. And it's not very complicated. So equal parts of champagne vinegar, white wine vinegar, and dare I say it, vodka. Just a nice, clean, simple vodka. No go to big spicy. And then there's lemon in this one. There's a couple of little olives here too. So you can recycle some of your old garnishes then to infuse them. And I switch these out every week, just so you don't think it'll fest you or nothing. And you can also do things, if you want to get crazy, add other ingredients like a bit of chili or pepper, or get more earthy and play with herbs and sort of thing. But bear in mind, you don't want the cocktail to be coated with colouring. So, but basically what you're creating is a very savoury, not too salty, but very onion sweet forward brine, which of course is infusing these little numbers, right? And so what it means is, in a practical sense, when you're making your cocktail, let me just do a switch here, right? Give you one. Talk about the Gibson Martini if you're just joining us. What it means is essentially, unlike other martinis which have a life expectancy, like the dry martini, which is like, crisp and cold and has to stay that way, and so it goes. The Gibson actually kind of wants a bit of infusion going on. So as it gets warmer, hard to keep your cocktail a bit colder. This is why I was thinking about this the other day. This and the dirty martini are a bit more forgiving, in terms of you want some of the flavours from the cocktail onions, which are picking up from the brine you just made, to enthuse the cocktail. So you're still tasting the gin, you still taste a good martini, but as the drink goes on, you get these layers of flavour. And of course, the good stuff is the end, all comes together in these balls. So you can eat them, share them, do what you want with them. Cheers. First you work this. So much better. So if you just joined us, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories about the birth of the Gibson Martini. So it's got its legacy back in the 1920s and 1930s. Some say it was born of a couple of twin sisters out of Chicago who hated olives, but anything but olives. So what have you got? So probably a bartender just went, oh, well, I've got cocktail onions, because back in the day you'd have eggs and these sort of things on the bar for people to eat, right? Bar snacks. Oh yeah, that'd be good. Anything's better than, and because they're twin sisters, so the story goes, out of Chicago, the Gibson twins, that's why you always have two of these bad boys in drink, not the singular olive or triple olive that we normally talk about. The other version is, the other fun fact is that there was an ambassador to London, and he was a teetotaler because they're very prohibition. So rather than break any rules as he saw it, although he was in England, he just walked around with a glass of water with these in it because his name was Gibson. What are you drinking, sir, ambassador? Well, the Gibson, of course. Another story. So it's great. And the final thought is, is the fun name for it is called onion soup. So onion soup is another name for the Gibson Martini, but that's really old school. So good luck walking to a bar and ordering onion soup, but Google it and you'll see what I mean. So there you are. Short and sweet. The Gibson Martini, it's one you need to know. I'll do an article at some point about the recipe. So if you want to get the recipe from me, just DM me and I'll just send it back to you. About how to make your own brine, which makes all the difference in the world. Puppy. Want to see a puppy? Say hi if you want to say a puppy. Give me a wave if you want to see a puppy. Cosmo. Want to see a puppy? I need a wave. Someone give me a wave. No puppy, no wave. No wave, no puppy. Alright, give you this. Cosmo. Come here. Cosmo, come here. Come here. Cosmo, come. There we go, and there he is. Thank you. Here's a kiss. Thanks, buddy. So Cosmo's 6 months old. If you're a regular follower of mine, you'll know that we lost beloved Harry a year ago last year. And so Cosmo's still learning about the ways of aperitivo time and cocktail time and cocktails in general and barbecues and all good things puppy, but he's doing very well. He's a very smart little cookie, but he's high-mo, aren't you? Yeah, you're high-mo. So hi everybody, Cosmo. So yes, he's a good lad, but still learning still. So I'm up at 5:30 in the morning, so wish me luck. Fun fact, hangovers and 5 o'clock starts, not so good. Never, just saying, how are you? We're just actually talking about your gin. Mr. Fergus says woof. Cosmo, woof. Can you talk? He's talking to talk. Can you do woof? Not just yet. He's quite chatty when he wants to be. Where was I? Yeah, never. Just talking about the Gibson Martini and how you want a kind of nice punchy juniper forward kind of gin. So I gave your juniper plug just before as a good base note for layering up. I'll put the sun off. So if you've not had a Gibson Martini before and you've just joined us, just to recap, because I've just gone for a bit longer than I expected, you lovely kids. Make your own brine, go to the supermarket, get rid of that horrible sweet stuff, the stuff comes in, go away, give it a quick rinse, and then you've got to build up a brine of like champagne vinegar, white wine vinegar, some veg juice, some dry vermouth, do a touch of vodka, and some, olives and cooked onions, and olives, and let that infuse for about a week or two. You can then get creative. You can maybe hive some of those off, and then have different flavor profiles added to it. So, for example, I've made an infusion of yellow pita chilies. Been a long day, and that is amazing. So, I'm making a dirty martini, for example, a few drops of this on top. You get some fantastic Tabasco kind of kickback note. So you can have fun with this, but bottom line, it's that one martini where really the garnish is the front and center of the flavor profile, and it just gets better as the drink goes on because these lovely bad boys are getting all the flavor from the gin, and the cocktail's getting all the flavor from the brine, and then at the end of the day, your water's a better place. So, what more can you want for a cocktail? My job is done. I'll leave you to it. Have a great weekend, friends. Thanks for tuning in for a few minutes. Stay well, and I'll see you next time, and I'll better rescue do that puppy. Okay, see you next time.